Hi, I'm Marc, and on this channel I talk about Brexit and UK politics. And Peter Bone is said to have bullied and sexually harassed an employee. Just this summer, another member of parliament was expelled from parliament. So that means the British Parliament has suspended another MP for misconduct. And Peter Bone is said, as I said, to have bullied and sexually harassed an employee. And he had denied the allegations. Bone will now be suspended for 6 weeks, as the British news agency PA reported last night. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak could face another by-election in the constituency because of this. And Bone is said to have bullied an employee on multiple occasions in 2012 and 2013. And he is also said to have exposed himself in front of the person during a business trip in a hotel, as the PA reported. And as I said, Bone rejected the allegations as untrue. Just this summer, MP Chris Pincher was expelled from Parliament for 8 weeks because he groped 2 men while drunk. And Pincher then announced his resignation. The House of Commons can suspend MPs for misconduct in a number of cases. First, we have disorderly conduct. This is the most common reason for suspension, and can include things like shouting and interrupting other MPs or refusing to obey the orders of the Speaker. Then there are serious breaches of the House's rules or the Code of Conduct. This could include things like lying to the House, have we heard that before? Bribery or corruption. Then we have contempt of Parliament. This is a serious charge that can be brought against MPs who deliberately defy the authority of the House. And then there are criminal convictions. MPs who are convicted of serious crimes can also be suspended or even expelled from the House. In addition to these specific cases, the House of Commons can also suspend MPs for any other type of misconduct that it considers to be serious enough. The decision of whether or not to suspend an MP is ultimately up to the House itself and is made by a vote of all MPs. On October 26th and 23, the House of Commons voted to suspend MP Peter Bone now for 6 weeks after he was found to have committed bullying and sexual misconduct against a staff member. The suspension was recommended by the Independent Expert Panel, which is an independent body that investigates complaints against MPs. The IEP found that Bone had engaged in many varied acts of bullying and 1 act of sexual misconduct against the staff member. The suspension is the most severe sanction that the IEP can recommend and is only used in the most serious cases. Bone's suspension is a reminder that the House of Commons is committed to upholding high standards of conduct among its members, at least at some time. And it also shows that the IEP is willing to take action against MPs who engage in misconduct. Since the 2019 general election, there have been a number of other cases of MPs being suspended from the House of Commons, and I just put some of those most notable cases together. One was Owen Paterson from the Conservative Party. In November 21, Paterson was suspended for 30 days after being found to have broken lobbying rules. Paterson had lobbied on behalf of 2 companies that he was paid to consult for, which is a breach of the House of Commons Code of Conduct. And then we have Neil Parish, also from the Conservatives. In April 22, Parish resigned from Parliament after admitting to watching pornography on his phone in the House of Commons chamber. Parish had initially denied the allegation, but later admitted to them after being confronted with evidence. And then, of course, we had Chris Pincher, also from the Conservatives. In June 22, Pincher resigned from his government position as Deputy Chief Whip after being accused of groping 2 men at a private members' club. Pincher was later suspended from the House of Commons for 8 weeks by the Standards Committee. And then we had Margaret Ferrier from the Scottish National Party. In October 23, Ferrier was suspended from the House of Commons for 30 days after being found to have broken COVID lockdown laws. Ferrier had travelled from Scotland to London to attend a vote in the House of Commons, despite knowing that she had tested positive for COVID-19. And in addition to these cases, there have been a number of other MPs who have been suspended from the House of Commons for shorter periods of times, or who have been reprimanded by the Speaker. The suspensions of these MPs have been met with mixed reactions. Some people have argued that the suspensions are too lenient and that the MPs involved should have been expelled from Parliament. And others have argued that the suspensions are fair and proportionate and that they send a strong message that misconduct will not be tolerated. The suspensions of these MPs also highlight the need for reform of the House of Commons disciplinary procedures. The current system is widely seen as being complex and ineffective, and that there is a growing consensus that it needs to be updated. On October 19th in 2023, the House of Commons was due to vote on a motion to suspend Boris Johnson from Parliament for 30 days. The motion had been tabled by the Privilege Committee, which had found that Johnson had lied to the House about his knowledge of parties that had taken place at 10 Downing Street during the COVID lockdown. However, just hours before the vote was due to take place, Johnson announced that he would be resigning as Prime Minister. 22, not 23, and not October. That was a different thing. That was today. This effectively prevented the House of Commons from voting on a suspension. It is unclear whether or not the House of Commons would have voted to suspend Johnson if he had not resigned, but I think they would have. Some MPs have said they believe the motion would have passed, while others have said that they are not so sure about this, but Johnson seems to have been sure. It's also unclear why Johnson decided to resign just before the vote was due to take place. Embarrassment was not a big thing with him usually. But some people have speculated that he knew that he was likely to be suspended and that he resigned in order to avoid the humiliation. Others have speculated that he resigned for other reasons, such as the pressure from within his own party. Whatever the reason, Johnson's resignation prevented the House of Commons from holding him to account for his actions. And it also set a dangerous precedent, as it showed that prime ministers can simply resign in order to avoid being held accountable for their misconduct. The intention of the House of Commons to suspend Boris Johnson was to send a strong message that lying to the House is a serious offense. However, Johnson's resignation prevented the House from doing so. And this is a matter of concern, as it shows that prime ministers are not above the law and that they can be held accountable for their actions, but it didn't happen. The suspension of MPs for misconduct works in a similar way, by the way, here in the German Bundestag as it does in the UK House of Commons. In both cases, the decision to suspend an MP is ultimately up to the full chamber and is made by a vote of all MPs. But there are some key differences between those two systems. In the Bundestag, the decision to suspend an MP must first be recommended by the Committee on Rules and Immunities. This committee is responsible for investigating allegations of misconduct against MPs and for making recommendations to the Bundestag on whether or not to suspend them. The Bundestag can also suspend an MP for a longer period of time than the House of Commons can. In the Bundestag, the maximum suspension period is indeed 12 months, while in the House of Commons it is usually 30 days. And another key difference is that the Bundestag has a different system for disciplining MPs for serious misconduct. In the Bundestag, MPs who are found to have engaged in serious misconduct can be expelled from Parliament. This is a more severe sanction than the suspension and is only used in the most serious cases. In the House of Commons, MPs who are found to have engaged in serious misconduct can be expelled from Parliament, but this is a very, very, very rare occurrence. More commonly, MPs who are found to have engaged in serious misconduct are suspended from Parliament or reprimanded by the Speaker. Overall, the system for suspending MPs for misconduct in the German Bundestag and the UK House of Commons are similar, but there are these key differences that I just named. The Bundestag has a more robust system for disciplining MPs for serious misconduct, and it can also suspend MPs for a much longer period of time. And if you want to see something else right now, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.